So I'm going to have to keep this Movies at 20 review a little bit briefer than normal. I had some problems with Armageddon. You may not have even seen it show up in your sub feed because it would have just shuffled down a week. But basically I had some clips in there. Disney didn't like me having clips in there, so it all got worldwide blocked instantly. So I kept re-editing and it kept getting worldwide blocked still. And then I did a whole new version without any clips in whatsoever. And that was processing and I was just about to upload it. And an email came through saying, Disney have released your video. Good news. I mean, thanks, Disney. I'm glad they did, but yeah, it meant I got really behind in stuff. So yeah, keep this one brief, which is no reflection on the film because I quite enjoyed this.
Put the bunny back in the box.
Starring, amongst others, Antonio Banderas, Anthony Hopkins, Catherine Zeta-Jones, Stuart Wilson and Matt Letcher, who, by the way, I had no idea was Matt Letcher in this. I did not realise it was Reverse Flash. It was Eobard Thawne from the Arrowverse. I had no idea. The whole way through the film. Directed by Martin Campbell off of a screenplay by John Esco, Ted Elliott and Terry Rossio. This is my Movies at 20 review for The Mask of Zorro. The Mask of Zorro was number 1 at the US box office 20 years ago. It was there for 1 week from July 19th and followed on from Lethal Weapon 4, which I haven't done because I have other plans for, just in case you're keeping track and wonder where that was. It is coming, just in a different form to a Movies at 20. So the plot for this one is Anthony Hopkins is the original Zorro, or Don Diego de la Vega. It's a really fun name to say. Quite a lot of the names in this are fun to say. And the film opens with him as Zorro. He's doing some really fun Zorro antics, and it's great to see Anthony Hopkins having such a ball in the role. Like, it seems like he's having a really good time. But things go horribly wrong for him. His wife is killed, and his child is abducted and taken away, while he is thrown into prison for 12 long years, or 12 long years. We cut to 12 years later, and Antonio... Oh, fuck me, I can't actually say words. We cut to 12 years later, and Antonio Banderas' character, Alejandro Murrieta, who actually ran into Zorro as a kid, witnesses the murder of his brother. He then falls into the path of Don Diego, who begins to train him to take over the mantle of Zorro. And it struck me while I was watching this that I hadn't seen The Mask of Zorro before. It's one of those movies that I, for some reason, just assumed that I'd watched at some point, but I never had. Nothing in this was familiar at all. I think it was just a film that completely skipped me by. And I also didn't think it was going to be very good. I went into it just expecting the worst, and I was actually pleasantly surprised. This is a good film. It has some issues. Like, pacing is a bit of a problem. It's longer than it needs to be by quite some way. It could do with quite a lot of the fat trimmed off it, I think. But other than that, it's hard to find many faults with it. The performances are really good here. As I said, Anthony Hopkins really seems like he's having fun. There's so many great moments with his character, particularly in the training montage, which is done in an interesting way. Obviously, it's Zorro. It's said in the past. It'd be a bit weird if it suddenly had modern workout music playing. But you just have Anthony Hopkins' character just sort of sitting there, almost nonchalantly half paying attention while he's training the new Zorro. And it's a fun dynamic between the two of them. Antonio Banderas is clearly having a ball in this role as well. He clearly loved playing the character of Zorro, and it shows. He's a really likeable character here. He has just the amount of quips and just the amount of one-liners while still retaining some sincerity to the performance. His version of Zorro, his Alejandro, it feels like a real character. It feels like a real person who does real things, who behaves in real ways. And yeah, it's fun, real fun. Same with Catherine Zeta-Jones. She's good. In fact, it's kind of hard to fault anybody here. Stuart Wilson as Don Raphael is a brilliant villain, as is Matt Letcher as Harrison Love. Two great villains, and that's one of the things I really liked about what they did here. As the story went on, as it got to the present day and we reached the end, it built up two antagonists. One for Alejandro, and another built up from the start for Don Diego. So they both had their own personal stake in this final fight, in the final confrontation between them. And it gave us two separate fights going on at exactly the same time. Two versions, two generations of Zorro fighting their latest enemy. And it was a really smart move to do that, because neither of them, while Zorro in this one is really Alejandro's character, because Anthony Hopkins has long since not been able to do that anymore. He's an elderly man. Well, quite old. I don't think he was elderly. We still had them both in a fight. We still had them both with their own vendetta, with their own sort of enemies, antagonists to fight as this thing went on, which is good, because there was a lot of story to fit in, and that could have got muddled very, very easily, but it's, yeah, to the credit of everybody involved, that it doesn't. The film looks great as well. The locations used and the setting used feel authentic. I mean, it looks authentic. It looks like a real place from that real time period that it's set. And the music in this, it's really funny. There's a point in the film where I didn't know who was the composer at that point, but I just heard a musical cue and just thought, it sounded like Titanic. Quickly had a look, and it was James Horner. James Horner did do the score for this one, and he does a really good job with it. The music complements the fight scenes really, really well. It just helps to create this atmosphere. It's the one thing I'll say about The Mask of Zorro. It's the main takeaway from it is that it was done with care. And I'm not overly familiar with the history of Zorro. Like, of all the fictional characters we've had over time, he's probably the one that I'm less accustomed to. But this film did a great job at making me want to see more. Like, I want to see the sequel to this one as well, because it did get one. I know nothing about it. Don't know if it's terrible or not. Just let me know in the comments if it is, but I'm going to check it out at some point, because yeah, I really enjoyed so much about this film. And it doesn't get overly sentimental either. It seemed, because I remember the song, that I Want to Spend My Lifetime Loving You song. That's, I think, the reason why I thought I saw the film, because I'm so familiar with that song being from it, the music video. But it gives the impression that this is going to be a sentimental film, that the romance aspects are going to be heavily played up, but they're really not. But the romance between Alejandro and Catherine Zeta-Jones' character, Elena, it isn't heavy-handed. It kind of builds naturally. There's a nice rapport between the two of them, and it doesn't get overly schmaltzy. And then there's Don Diego and Elena, sort of him finally seeing his daughter again after all these years and her having no idea who he is. That's played really well as well. Both actors in that just give really sort of subtle performances that really just help elevate the material, I think. So yeah, a briefer review than normal. I do want to make these movies at 20 reviews a little bit longer than just the basic movie ones, but yeah, time was not on my side with this one. But I'm going to give The Mask of Zorro an 8 out of 10. Pleasantly surprised with this one. Wasn't expecting a lot. Ended up really, really enjoying it. Have you seen the film? If so, let me know what you think about it in the comments below. Hit like, hit subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Subscribers going up a little bit lately, which is nice to see. So yeah, come subscribe as well. And don't forget to chat to me in the comments, because I do like talking film. You can follow me on Twitter at JoeJulians. The next Movies at 20 review will be the last one for, I think, about a month. I think 4 weeks, and that'll be Saving Private Ryan, which will be coming at some points next week or the week after, I think. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that again. It has been a while, and I know that's a very good film. But thank you very much for watching, and I will see you on the next video.